So far, in our discussion on finding solution of a balanced transportation problem, we have discussed the three methods of finding the initial basic feasible solution, which are the northwest corner method, least cost method, and the Vogel's approximation method. We have also discussed the stepping stone method to check if a basic feasible solution is an optimal one, and if it is not, then how to find the optimal solution. In this video, we will discuss the modified distribution method. We'll use the same example that was used in the previous videos on discussing the methods of finding initial basic feasible solution as well as the stepping stone method. While discussing the stepping stone method, we had done the optimality check on this initial basic feasible solution which was obtained using the Vogel's approximation method. So in this video also, we will be doing the optimality check on this solution so that we can understand the similarities in the results obtained using the stepping stone method and the modified distribution method. This solution satisfies all the conditions of a basic feasible solution. That is, it satisfies the rim conditions, the non-negativity constraint, it has exactly m plus n minus 1 allocations, and these allocations are in independent positions. So we'll now see how to do an optimality check on a basic feasible solution using the modified distribution method. Now in modified distribution method, we introduce variables ui and vj. So for example, here we have three sources. So we introduce variables u1, u2 and u3. Similarly, we have four destinations. So we introduce variables v1, v2, v3 and v4. So in general, when there are m sources, we'll have the variables ui, I going from 1 to m. And similarly, when there are n destinations, we'll have variables vj, j going from 1 to n. Now the values of these variables are found out with the help of the loaded cells. That is, the cells which have allocations. So the values that these variables ui and vj can take are such that ui plus vj should be equal to cij for every loaded cell. So let's understand this further. So now what is happening is we have 6 allocations, whereas we have introduced 7 variables. So we'll have 6 conditions coming from each of these allocations, but then we have 7 unknowns. So what is done is we assign an arbitrary value to one of these variables. So let's say we take u1 to be equal to 0. So now we have 6 unknowns and 6 equations. So I hope you follow that in general, when we have m sources and n destinations, we would have introduced m plus n such variables, whereas any basic feasible solution will have m plus n minus 1 allocations. So we'll be always having one equation less than the number of unknowns. So to proceed ahead in the problem, we assign arbitrary value to one of the variables. So we take u1 equal to 0. So let's now see how this condition is applied. So we know the value of u1, and in this row we have one allocation which is over here. Now the cost Cij for this cell is 4. So u1 plus v4 should be such that it will be equal to C14, which is equal to 4. So if u1 is already equal to 0, v4 should be equal to 4, such that u1 plus v4 will add up to this value of 4. Now having found out the value of v4, when you look at this column, we have this cell which has an allocation, and the cost associated is 9. This cost is nothing but cost C34. So from v4 and C34, we will be able to find out what is u3. So u3 plus v4 should add up to 9. v4 is 4. So u3 should be equal to 5. So we have 5 plus 4 will add up to 9. Now once you have got the value of u3, we can find v1, in fact also v2 and v3. So let's do them one by one. So we have u3 equal to 5. This cell has an allocation with an associated cost of 6. So this is u3, this is C31. So from u3 and C31, we will be able to find out what is v1. So u3 and v1 should add up to 6, of which u3 is already 5. So this should be equal to 1. So we have 5 plus 1 equal to 6. Similarly, in this row, we also have this cell which has an allocation. The associated cost is 3. This is u3, this is C32. So u3 plus v2 should be equal to 3. u3 is 5. So v2 should be equal to minus 2. So we'll have 5 minus 2 equal to 3. In this row, we have one more cell which has an allocation, which is this, and the associated cost is 1. This is u3, this is C33. So using these two values, we'll be able to find out what is v3. u3 plus v3 should add up to 1. u3 is 5, so v3 should be minus 4. So we have 5 minus 4 will be equal to 1. Now the value which is remaining to be found out is u2. We have this cell which has an allocation. The value of v2 is known. This is cost C22. So using these values, we should be able to find out what is u2. u2 plus v2 should add up to C22. So u2 minus 2 should give 1. So u2 should be equal to 3. So we'll have 3 minus 2 equal to 1. So once we have found out all the values, it is a good practice to just verify if all the calculations have been done correctly. So if we go row wise, for the first row we have 0 plus 4 giving 4. For the second row we have 3 minus 2 which gives 1. For the third row we have 5 plus 1 which gives 6, 5 minus 2 which gives 3, 5 minus 4 which gives 1 and 5 plus 4 which gives 9. So the values we have obtained for ui and vj are correct. Now once we have obtained the values of ui and vj, the next step is to find out for every empty cell what is the value of Cij minus ui plus vj. I repeat, after having obtained the values of ui and vj, the next step is to find Cij minus ui plus vj for all the empty cells. So let's do this carefully one by one. So the first empty cell is this. The associated cost is phi. So we have phi minus ui plus vj. So that is 0 plus 1 for this cell. So 0 plus 1 is 1. So this gives us a value of plus 4. Next empty cell is this. So the value of Cij is 7 for this cell. 7 minus ui plus vj. So that is 0 minus 2. So this will be minus 2. So this gives us a value of plus 9. The next empty cell is this. The cost is 2. So we have 2 minus ui plus vj. For this cell will be 0 minus 4. That is minus 4. So this is 2 minus minus 4 which is plus 6. Next we look at this cell. The cost is 3. So 3 minus ui plus vj is 3 plus 1 which is 4. So this gives us minus 1. Next empty cell is this. The cost is 8 minus 3 minus 4 is minus 1. So we have minus 1. So this gives us a value of plus 9. And finally for this empty cell, we will have the cost is 2 minus 3 plus 4 is 7 which is equal to minus 5. So what we have done is for all the empty cells, we have found out the value Cij minus ui plus vj. Where did we get these values of ui and vj? By implementing this condition, ui plus vj equal to Cij for all the loaded cells, that is cells which have allocations. So now you must be wondering what are these values that we have found out. So these values, that is plus 4, plus 9, plus 6, minus 1, plus 9 and minus 5 are nothing but the change in total transportation cost for every unit allocated to each of these cells. So if you recall from our discussion on stepping stone method, what we used to do is for every empty cell, we are trying to find out what will be the change in total transportation cost if one unit was to be allocated to that cell. So on your screens right now, you must be seeing the summary of the change in total transportation cost for making unit allocations in each of these empty cells that we had found out using the stepping stone method. And you can see how these values are exactly the same as we had found earlier. So by doing these two steps, that is first finding out the values of ui and vj and then calculating this Cij minus ui plus vj, what we have found out is what will be the change in total transportation cost if one unit is allocated to each of these empty cells. So to quickly recap, a value of plus 4 in the change in total transportation cost means that if one unit is allocated to this cell, the total transportation cost will go up by 4. Similarly, for this cell, if one unit is allocated, then the total transportation cost will go up by 9. Then coming to this cell, if one unit is allocated to this cell, the total transportation cost will change by minus 1. That is, it will come down by 1. Similarly, if one unit is allocated to this cell, the total transportation cost will change by minus 5. That is, it will come down by 5. So obviously, we will make allocations in that cell which results in maximum reduction in total transportation cost, which is nothing but this cell. So we'll now try to find out what is a new solution which will help in reducing the total transportation cost. So first of all, we'll have to find out what is the maximum number of units that can be allocated to this cell. To do so, what we'll do is, let's say theta units are allocated to this cell. Now we identify a loop which includes this cell, and that loop is this. So we have theta over here, so this will be minus theta, this will be plus theta, and this will be minus theta. So as theta will go on increasing, these two values go on decreasing. So this is the first one which will reach 0 when theta will take the value of phi. So the maximum value that theta can take is phi, beyond which this allocation will begin to become negative. So we conclude that the maximum possible units that can be allocated to this cell is phi. And now we will find out what is the new solution. So we allocate 5 units to this cell. This will become 0. So there will be no allocation in this cell. This will become 5 plus 5, that is 10. So we'll have 10 units in this cell. This will become 75 minus 5, that is 70. So we'll have 70 units in this cell. The other 3 allocations, that is the 60, 45 and 35, remain unchanged. So we have 60, 45 and 35 unchanged. So this is a new solution that we obtained. So let's quickly check whether this is a feasible solution. So for the first source we have 60. Second source we have 70 plus 5, that is 75. For the third source we have 45 plus 10, 55 plus 35, that is 90. For the first destination we have 45. Second destination we have 80. Third destination 35 and fourth destination 65. So this solution satisfies all the rim conditions as well as the non-negativity constraint. So we have a feasible solution. So let's now find out what is the total transportation cost associated with this solution. So it will be Z equal to 60 into 4 plus 70 into 1 plus 5 into 2 plus so we get this as 655 and let's say this is rupees. So we have the total transportation cost is rupees 655 and these are the allocations. So we have obtained a total transportation cost of rupees 655. Whereas for this solution with which we started, the total transportation cost was rupees 680. So it has come down as expected and it has come down by 680 minus 655, which is 25 rupees. And that is because we have allocated 5 units to this cell, and for every unit allocated to this cell, the total transportation cost should have come down by 5. So the total transportation cost came down by 5 into 5, which is 25. So if you recollect, we had seen something similar happening in the stepping stone method as well. So having obtained this solution, we once again check if this is the optimal one, and if it is not, we'll try to improve it further.